So I'm so excited to be able to interview an NBA superstar. So, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm excellent, and I'm actually very excited for this interview because I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. So it's probably going to be a bit of rapid fire.
All right.
So, look, I just want to start with obviously you've had a very successful career in the NBA, and so after retiring, many athletes dive into business ventures. So, what has sparked your interest in investing, and how did you actually transition from basketball into the business world?
It was always in me. Actually, when I was a little kid, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world to actually wear suits and have big offices with an amazing view, and sign different contracts, right? I wasn't as detailed because when those things happened early on in my career, I was losing money because I didn't know the business. And now that I do know business, I've actually fallen in love more of the process and less emotional. And I think when you come into the business world, there is less emotion, just like in basketball, right? Your emotions have to be left, in a locker room, because it's strategy, and if your strategy is not on point, you cannot lead with your emotion.
Yeah, excellent. I love it. I love it. And look, I like how you have always had that drive for the business side of things because to give you a bit of context, ever since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to be a professional singer, but I didn't just want to rely on that. So that's when I really got into business as well as investing because I personally think that having that acumen also helped my own singing career. So a question that I have for you is that for those who are in the sports or entertainment industry specifically, why is it important to have an element of business marketing or investing acumen? And how did that help your own career?
Well, again, it's not something you think of early, but you are a brand, right? Like
Mm,
she's a brand, and you don't
mm,
know you're a brand or a business because you don't think of yourself that highly. You think of Coca-Cola is, or whatever it is that their product is, right? So once, and a lot of younger adults now, and mid 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, now they're saying, "Oh wow, I'm actually a brand, and I can do this, 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 and this." Before it wasn't
mm,
like that. So now you can
mm,
take, 5 or 6 hours to sing, and then another 3 hours a day to work on different business ventures, right? So, I don't know where you're at in the world, but usually here in America, if you're up at 5 o'clock, that's when business starts, right? You should be up
mm,
at 3, starting to read papers and figuring out different people's emotions and what's this and what's that. And then you're done by 12 because, you know, guess what? LA, it's 9 o'clock, it's 12, you probably be done by 2. And then guess what? I can be in the studio for about 5 or 6 hours. Now I'm practicing two crafts, and both of them are going to mean something, right? So
mm,
it's just about the structure and
mm,
how do you spend your time and what do you actually want to do. I tell my son this, he's 15 years old. There's three things when you're 15. There's school, there's sports, and then there's social life. One of them you have to
mm,
give up,
mm.
right? And when you're
Yeah,
young, right? It's singing, it's business, it's social life. You got to give one up for a little
yeah,
bit, right? Your head's got to be down. So 8 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is, I'm singing, expanding my lungs, learning different frequencies, whatever you want to do. And then the other ones, I'm studying. I'm even if the TV's on, it's on different cycles of, yeah, right? So I'm learning like that. I'll do that for a year.
mm,
I promise you, I'll be better than 98% of everybody else.
yeah. Yeah, love it. And look, I definitely agree with you because often people will continuously say that you can only have one thing, but I'm a believer where you can have it all, but you just got to really work for it. So like obviously trying to balance the business brain and then the singing brain, two very, very different brains, but like you just got to keep at it. So look, so another question that I want to ask you is
There
obviously
are
within the
contrasts, right? You think about it. See, the
yeah,
business brain and the singing brain are totally different parts of the
yeah,
spectrum. One's an
yeah.
artist and super creative, one's super conservative, right?
Mm,
So now you're trying to become this, where they're all the way out here. So
mm,
now you got to ask yourself, okay, which one am I today? Which am I for this hour?
mm,
Right? Because I can't be creative and risky and show my talents in business, I
Mm,
gotta do this or I'm gonna lose. And I mean, as
yeah.
an artist, I can do this because this is who I am. This is what I feel, right?
Mm,
So yeah.
mm, yeah. Okay. Love it, man. I think you're super cool guy. So thank you for that. So with the sports and entertainment industry, look, there's the good and there's the bad. So I guess what's your biggest takeaway or like your biggest lesson during your time in the NBA, and how has that actually helped or shaped your decision making within career, family, etc.?
Yeah, I think preparation, right?
Mm,
What you pay attention to. That's actually the key to anything. But of course, in basketball, right, it goes to your business life, right? So you're waking up. I'm waking up at basketball at 4 o'clock to go work out at 5 till 7, and I'm coming back home and I'm doing X, Y, Z, and I'm studying film, and then I'm doing it again, and then I'm coming back home doing it again, and repeating that. That's how I become great at that. You
mm,
do the same thing in business.
mm,
So you just copy and paste. Don't try to reinvent any wheel. When I was in basketball, guess what? I'm scratching my head asking Scottie Pippen and Charles Barkley and Hakeem Olajuwon and Michael Jordan and all those guys advice on this, and this. So why not do the same thing with Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and Stanley Druckenmiller and Larry Ellison? Do the same exact thing. Even if they say, not today, kid, you go back the next day.
mm,
You research more. You have YouTube, you have this, you have that. You have so many different things that can prepare you faster now. It's just your
mm,
willingness and your structure and your discipline to be able to say, okay, this is what I want to do for right now. So I got to dive all the way in. I say drown yourself in it,
mm.
right? Until you learn how to swim. So now you're in the water and I'm just coasting while everybody else is actually drowning.
So then who would you say has been the biggest influence or mentor in your sports element versus your investment business element?
Sometimes mentors are people you never meet.
Mm,
Right? And sometimes mentors are people who have failed big time. So for me, I watch everyone. I can watch my 11-year-old daughter. I can watch my 15-year-old son, my 24-year-old son. I can watch so many different people. So in sports, it was always how Scottie Pippen kept his body. Michael Jordan kept his body. I watched that. I watched how Charles Barkley kept his body. He was a little more lazy, didn't do anything. I didn't want to be like that part. Right. I watched Hakeem Olajuwon read a whole bunch of books on the plane all the time and never engage in all the other buffoonery. Right. So I'm watching so many different things because what I'm doing is my characters attracted to whatever it is that they're doing. So you got to be careful who you are because you are what you attract, right? So if
mm.
I don't like reading books, I'm not looking at Dream. If I want to be a sloppy person that does X, Y, I want to be like Charles. If I want to be like Scotty and disciplined, I'm lifting and shooting, I'm going to be like that. I'm going to do those things. You can't fight it. It's no one else. That's you, right? If you see
Mm.
15 colors and you pick blue, that's your color. Why is it your color? I don't know. We got to dig deeper. But right now, that blue, that's yours, right? Why do you like blue? Oh, because this, that, whatever. Yeah, euphoric. Okay, you feeling back. Okay, whatever that is, that's you, right? So it's so many different people that I admired that I said, okay, you know what? I want to pick a little piece from him and pick a little and then create my own Voltron, as I would say. And Voltron was a cartoon back in the day where it was a whole bunch of different toys that came together, made this big old monster toy. That's who I would when I was younger I want to become, right? So I'm looking at
Mm.
all these different people and I said, you know what? I'm gonna take a little piece from him. I'm gonna take what he did, and I'm gonna make sure I don't do that. I'm gonna take what he did and make sure I don't do that. I'm gonna do this, and this. So I mean, life is a cheat sheet.
So my final question, and this will be a quick one, is, and I know what my answer is for this, but I'd love to hear your own thoughts. What do you think is the bigger lesson, rejection or success?
I think the biggest lesson is rejection. It's success. I mean, if I'm always successful, I never know how to improve,
Mm.
right? It's just harder, right? When rejection builds wisdom, success builds arrogance.
Mm. Well, look, thank you so much for your time. I really, really enjoyed this interview, and all the best to you, mate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.